My name is James Lewis, and I joined Augustana Lutheran Church in 1962.
Like many parishioners, James Lewis, everybody calls him Jim, says one of the things he loves best about Augustana is how people are hospitable and kind. But that was not always the case.
When I first came to Augustana, there was some times when I was not accepted as regular parishioners, and I think it was because the color of my skin.
Jim arrived at Augustana Lutheran Church in the 60s as a young man. Retired from the Army, he stayed in D.C. after his military service and went about looking for a place to worship.
I visit a lot of churches on Sunday mornings, but those other churches did not have what I was looking for. When I walked on the steps at Augustana, and I looked in the door, and I found all those people sitting in there, white people. I said, man, they need me.
Jim's inspiration for finding a place where he could make a difference came from one of this country's best-known civil rights leaders.
Before I came to Washington, I worked in the communities in Columbia, South Carolina, and I met with a lot of good people in Columbia, South Carolina, including Dr. Martin Luther King and his teachers, Ralph Abernathy, who was taught us at the college in Allen University that in order for us to be somebody, you had to show that you wanted to be and work with others to get them to treat you the way you wanted to be treated.
Despite those difficult beginnings, James kept coming back to Augustana.
So when they brought me to the door, they looked for a seat, and they found a pew where there's about 4 or 5 people sitting in the pew, and they sit me there. And I looked around, and less than 2 or 3 minutes, my pew was empty. I was in there by myself. But I didn't move, I stayed.
And he got involved, becoming a member of the Usher Corps, and no longer worrying about whether people were going to leave his pew.
Now I got a chance for those folks to see me because I was taking them to their seat. From that point on, folks started looking at me a little bit different because now he's seating us instead of sitting in the pews with us.
After someone heard him sing, Jim joined the choir.
Now that was a great time because there were a lot of people singing in the choir and we became friends. Being a Christian person, once I get to know you from the heart, and I feel that now we're brothers and sisters. And leaving Augustana would have been like leaving a family.
Jim and his blood family grew up on a farm in South Carolina. Eventually, he left to pursue higher learning, racking up diplomas before and after his Army career. He worked for the federal government here in Washington. Jim also has some hidden talents.
This picture here is from Batesburg, South Carolina.
Jim Lewis is an artist. His paintings range from abstract to realism, with landscapes being a favorite subject. He's also painted pictures through music as a trumpeter and bass player, mostly while in the military.
I'm not gonna blow it up.
His wife Doris humors him when he pretends to play. He says he hasn't blown a note in years. He used to blow more than that as a bomb technician in the Army. He suffered hearing loss because of that work and wears a hearing aid to this day. Jim Lewis has been a faithful member of Augustana Lutheran Church for 5 decades. He still has the letter from Pastors Nelson and Woods inviting him to join. When he thinks back to his favorite memory, Jim doesn't hesitate and smiles thinking about it.
After choir rehearsal on Thursday nights, when we were young, we would go over to the Senior Citizen Hotel, the Senior Citizen Building, and we would dance with them, have fun with them. They got to know us, we got to know them. Every Thursday night after rehearsal, they was expecting us. They would get dressed in their gowns and they'd look for their favorite person they dance with. So that was my best time, here at Augustana. is dancing with those elder people and bringing smiles to their face.
Soon, Jim was dancing with a new partner, Doris, who he introduced to Augustana. They have a son, James Jr., who also worked at the church for a time. Attending Augustana has been a family affair. Every moment at the DC church is steeped in faith for Jim.
That is my life. The day I was born, I was blessed by old ancestors. They placed a hand on me and said, "You are blessed. Go, my son." I felt that I had to do well. I had to stay within my faith, no matter which one it is, whether it's Baptist, Methodist, Episcopalian, or Lutheran. You got to stay within your faith, because that's the only way you're going to survive.
Jim's home church has survived too, celebrating 100 years of faith and service from 1918 to 2018.
100 years from now, I would like for Augustana to continue doing what it's doing. Maybe one or two things a little bit different. Don't worry about who's coming in the door. Just keep the door open. Whoever wants to come, they're going to come anyway. You don't have to drag them in. They're going to come. So that's what I expect to see Augustana, where I like for Augustana to be 100 years from now.
As he reflects on his very full life, Jim knows exactly what civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. would say to him if he were still alive.
Dr. King would look at me in the face just like he did the day I first met him. He would say, "Well done, Jim. You did good. You did exactly what we set out to do." He would be so proud that I heard him when he said, "The only way you're going to be somebody, you got to go out here and teach people on who you are. You cannot be anybody until you help somebody else to be somebody. Now, if you want to be real, you got to go work hard at it." And he was right. And I think he would look at me today and said, "You did it.